Right then, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, hello, wherever you are. My name is Paul. You've possibly seen my daily teasers go past, at least I hope you've seen them. I don't know what YouTube's doing with them. Let's move on. I do the daily teasers in the morning, and usually I also talk about films and TV shows I happen to have seen. Right at the moment, I've been watching a classic Doctor Who show or story called The Faceless Ones. And I thought I'd tell you about the two episodes that I've seen tonight, episodes 3 and 4. Episode 3 sees the Doctor, played in this case by Patrick Troughton, trapped in the offices of the suspicious aircraft company Chameleon Tours, managing to escape the freezing gas by blocking the outlets it's coming from with assorted hankies and rags, and managing to get away by shooting Spencer, Victor Winded, the chameleon staffer who's been watching him. Meanwhile, once he's escaped, the Doctor meets up with Samantha, Pauline Collins, and Jamie, Fraser Hines, and helps them to convince Inspector Crossland, Bernard Kay, that there's more going on in the airport than Crossland's missing colleague. In all this, it's all this that makes up Crossland's mind, that he seriously needs to investigate the next chameleon flight by being on the thing. Episode 4 sees Jamie and Samantha finding an unconscious Doctor, only for the pair themselves to be knocked unconscious by Spencer and left to the mercies of an ominous James Bond-style laser. While that's going on, Crossland has got to the most recent chameleon flight, having been kidnapped by the villainous Captain Blade. Once Blade's got him out of harm's way, there's all sorts of things going on. Talking of out of harm's way, the Doctor, once he and the team escape from the laser, they manage to get to Gatwick's medical centre with help from the Commandant's PA, Jean, played by Wanda Ventham. And usually she's not quite a sci-fi icon, but if she's in your show, you've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. Let's get this summary done. Everything done, and back at air traffic control, the Commandant thinks there's only one way he can contribute to the investigation of Chameleon, by arranging from a jet from the local RAF base to follow the next Chameleon flight, straight off the radar. Now, is the story still looking good? Yes, it bloody is, actually. Right at the moment, I actually felt episodes 1 and 2 were slightly on the slow side. I think the older I get, the more I seem to appreciate good pacing, fast pacing, and shorter episodes. And episodes 3 and 4, it seemed, certainly with that. They were tighter, a little quicker, a little better paced. Something I was grateful for, I think. But the older I get, occasionally the more I notice what is potentially a flaw, but soon realise isn't. There's one scene in episode 3 where Captain Blade orders Spencer to kill the Doctor. I noticed there's one patch of Spencer's finger. He's sitting there with his head in his hands, and I noticed a bit of his finger seemed white. And initially thought that the animators had basically forgot to colour it in for a couple of frames. They haven't. It's their rendition of the light coming through the office's windows. That's my picky side, I think, coming out there. The other thing I noticed is something of an old trope, the old escaping prisoner gag. You may or may not have seen that. You get two prisoners in a cell, and one of whom lures an especially dim guard into the cell by pretending the other one is ill. Oh, my friend is dying, he's dying, ag! And when the guard comes into the cell to check this out, he immediately gets hit on the head by prisoner A, who's holding a convenient flower pot, or wine bottle, or soup bowl, what have you. They will knock the guard out, and the pair usually escape. In fact, I think I've seen third Doctor companion Jo Grant, Katie Manning, the ever bubbly one, doing something pretty much like it a couple of times herself. So, but it's an old enough trope. It's an old enough little bit of stuff doing the rounds that's common enough. I don't think the Faceless One's the origin of it, but the fact is somebody distracts somebody else by pretending to be ill. It happens at least once in each of episode 3 and episode 4. Is that bad? Do you think that's bad? I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's me being ill. It's just me noticing a fairly common routine that's been used differently every time I've seen it, but it's common enough for me to say, right, it's that old gag. I also, in my first review of this, I also mentioned the sound quality watching the first 2 episodes. The first 2 episodes, episodes 1 and 2. Episode 2 in particular sounded quite tinny in parts. It's basically where, and you'll probably want to Google this, it's where the animation team have had to use what they call off-air recordings of the episodes. Basically back in the 60s where fans would record an episode onto audio tape to keep as a memory, to play back later. It's noticeable in episode 2 because that's still missing. So the only way to get the soundtrack is from those off-air recordings. It's not noticeable in episodes 1 and 3 because they're still remaining. They've lifted the audio from the master recordings, but it's noticeable in episode 2, as I've said, and episode 4 as well. Because again, for episode 4, they've utilised those off-air recordings. It just doesn't seem as bad with episode 4 as it did with episode 2. I think because they're working with several different sources of audio tape. To be frank, those are minor points. It's noticeable stuff where I can see some of the technical details of what the animators are doing. I can see how they're working with the audio, how they're using it and matching it up to the video. To be frank, these are minor points. I've seen 2 more episodes of what I think is quite a good story. Granted, I've noticed the sound. Granted, there's a little bit of bump on screen. Granted, I'm missing Ben and Polly, Michael Craze and Annika Wilkes, but the story works and is a nice, pacey, well-done story. It's beautiful, it's looking great, it's looking fantastic, and right now, I'm looking forward to the next 2 episodes. I hope you are as well. I hope you'd like to join me while I explore them on both video and on my blog, Nik Nak's Old Peculiar. Thank you for watching. Come back soon. Take care, have a good day, and don't get caught out by the virus. Thank you for watching.